we are called now. I think everybody is old now, but it used to be called in the 19th century the old Kashmiri Pandits, who have been migrating since 1690. The first 11 families which officially migrated from there represent one of the best examples of living the future. The community which has been migrating from the valley since the last four centuries have clearly proven and demonstrated a rare combination of preserving a cultural identity through a mindset instead of geography, language, rituals, occupations, or customs. Historically, we have thrived on single-minded focus on education, liberal thought, independent thinking, cultural pride without dogmas, assimilation into cultures we have migrated to, and being knowledge workers. The community is known to have a flair, a very natural flair for socio-techno-commercial outlook, adept at mastering the civic systems with fairness while displaying key attributes for administrative ability for many centuries, including in very uncertain times and troubled regimes. Since its inception in 1940 in Delhi and Lahore, KPA Delhi members have contributed freedom fighters, 3 prime ministers, dozens of bureaucrats, members of parliament, renowned doctors, engineers, lawyers, defense personnel, academicians, artists, with many eminent ladies being at the forefront during critical changes in the history of our country. This assumes far more importance as our members are still less than 10,000 out of a total population of almost 140 crores. As KPA sails into the next quarter century of the 21st century, that is 2025-2050, our presence here proves the resilient nature of our identity. While our younger generations prepare to be passengers for Mars missions in their lifetime, the roots would continue to be nourished through the ethos of Sharda Peeth. With that, I request our senior executive committee member, Mr. Ratan Badal, IAS, to kindly introduce Dr. Nehru and also welcome him with a bouquet.
Thank you, Sanjay. Well, just as an introduction, Dr. Raj Nehru, as you know, is an accomplished personality and a very multifaceted intellectual too. He's currently officer on special duty to the Haryana Chief Minister, Naib Singh Saini ji. He is a distinguished educator and has done yeoman work in especially skill development and vocational education. Dr. Nehru brings with him a blend of administrative, academic, and corporate expertise spanning over 2 decades. He held prominent positions in companies like IBM and Concentrix. He established himself in public service, becoming the founding Vice Chancellor of the country's first state skill university in 2016. Dr. Raj Nehru, as the Vice Chancellor of Sri Vishwakarma Skill University, left an indelible mark. He has also held additional responsibilities at 2 other universities. He is a renowned author and has published nearly 4 books which are fairly well known, and his most recent book, titled Ahem Shivam, has garnered widespread acclaim. His significant contributions as Mission Director of the Skill Development Corporation prior to joining the university are also well known, and through that he has touched so many lives across the country. He's been a member of the UGC and the AICT and has been instrumental in developing a model of skill integration. This society was actually formed in 1940, and we could get the papers out of the Delhi records also, and we these reasons, they are like rivers which eventually meet again. And I think that is also the purpose, where it's a small beginning where we want to start and come together in some way. But today, we thought that Rajbhai will talk about a subject which touches all of us. It's a very interesting one, which is Kashmir Shaivism, also known as the Trika philosophy. It's a unique system of thought that actually in some way defines the Kashmiri identity, and in my view, perhaps you may have views on it yourself, Kashmiriyat itself. It is very different from the Vedantic, the non-dualism and concepts of Brahman and Maya. These are words which many of us have grown with or are familiar with. The last saintly figure who articulated about this philosophy in simple terms was Swami Lakshman Juji, who passed away in 1991 when things started to change in Kashmir. I will invite Rajji to tell us about this heritage, which many have forgotten or do not know about. I must also mention over here that some time back, he organized a very interesting confluence in Kurukshetra titled Krishna Kashyap from Kashmir, which I actually asked him, what is this connection? Well, I might be digressing. Maybe that's a question you could ask him later and he'll give you the answer. It's very interesting, and the sources where he gets it from, because very interesting that Kashmir is not, or the Janpad, the old Janpad of Kashmir is not mentioned in the Mahabharata text or the legend. The Kashmir king never took part in that battle, and why it happened, he will give you the answer later on.
So I hope all of you speak or understand Kashmiri. Anyone who doesn't speak Kashmiri? Okay. Anyone who doesn't understand Kashmiri? So I have the chance. You don't understand Kashmiri?
No, I understand.
No, I don't. I said who doesn't understand Kashmiri?
Oh, I never said that.
Most of them don't understand Kashmiri. That's why you called yourself the old Kashmir organization.
You both what he said.
So becoming old means forgetting Kashmiri. Anyway, but I'll start with this query that Sir actually raised. But before that, I must thank you for giving me this opportunity to speak today and interact with all of you. And to begin with, let me start. I'm not a scholar on Kashmir Shaivism. It was my father's profound wish before he passed away a couple of years back that he brought me into some discourses on Bhagavad Gita, and later those discussions happened to get inside Kashmir Shaivism, and that created an interest. So I am actually in the primary school of Kashmir Shaivism today, and it's a long way to go. So I may have some errors in my conversation, communication, words, so pardon me for that. But even at the primary school, I feel very, very elated, because when I see the point at which I entered, that my father brought in, and to the point that where I am today, I see a huge distance that I have covered. which gives me a lot of excitement. But then when I look at the top of the mountain, I see there's a huge distance. But then I also realize, my father told me once, the moment you reach the peak, you will see another mountain. And you'll see that on the peak, you are on the base of a mountain. And when you reach another peak, you'll again see that there is another peak in front of you. That peak will never end. So life will end and it will again start. So you may have to come and go, come and go, come and go, and it may happen for thousands of years until you reach that peak, after which you will see nothing. So I'm glad that at least the journey that my father pulled me into, and Swargoyousness, that he gave me a right path to see. So whatever I will share is based on whatever I have learned in the last couple of years. One is knowing, another is understanding, and third experiencing. So I have a mix of all three, and all that credit goes to my father. But before that, the query that came up was on the Lord Krishna's connection with Kashmir. And it actually comes from one of the most profound books that we have. The book is Nilvat Puran in Kashmir. Professor Saab piche baithe hain. I think he was part of the team that we started, and Bamze Saab and the whole group had conceptualized that whole program, and that we delivered in Kurukshetra. The basic premise behind that was Kashyap, Kurukshetra, Krishna Tirthatam. That was the basic idea that we created, and that idea had its source from the Nilvat Puran. In Nilvat Puran, the opening shloka of the Nilvat Puran is where Raja Janmejaya is asking a question to Maharishi Vaishampayan. And Raja Janmejaya asks Maharishi Vaishampayan, why did not the king of Kashmir participate in Mahabharata? So Raja Janmejaya answers that. And to be brief to all of you, he says that the Kashmir was once ruled by Gunanda, King Gunanda, one of the very powerful kings of that time. And Bharatvarsha was divided into many Janapadas. Kashmir was a very large Janapada. And being large Janapada, it had a large army of that time. Jarasandha had a bitterness with the Yaduvanshis, and he wanted to take revenge of his uncle Kans. So he wanted to attack Mathura. And he called all his friends to come and support him. Gunanda was a relative or friend of Raja Jarasandha. So Gunanda decides to be on the side of Raja Jarasandha, and he takes his army and goes to Mathura to fight Krishna and Balram. In that battle, Gunanda gets killed. And as Gunanda gets killed in Kashmir, his son Damodar, he becomes the king of Kashmir. So Damodar has his wife Yashomati. So after some time, Krishna and Balram, they are going to another Janapada which is called Gandhar after some years. At that time, Yashomati is pregnant. Damodar hears about Krishna and Balram going to Gandhar, and he wants to take the revenge of his father. So he takes up army and goes to fight Krishna and Balram. On the way, somewhere between Kashmir, Janapada and Gandhar, there is a big fight that happens, and in that fight, Damodar gets killed. As Damodar gets killed and there is no king in Kashmir, the Balram and other people along with Krishna ask Krishna, why don't we establish Yaduvanshi rule in Kashmir? To which Krishna replies to them that Kashmir cannot be ruled by anyone else other than people from Kashmir, because Kashmir is the land of Sati. So Krishna and Balram, they go to Kashmir as per Nilvat Puran, and there Krishna coronates Yashomati. So by one statement, we also say sometimes that Yashomati was the first woman empress coronated in Kashmir by Lord Krishna. And what happens after that, Krishna and Balaram go back to Mathura. And after some time, after some period, 2 years, 3 years, when Mahabharata Yuddha happens, there's a rule, niyam in the Yuddha, that only a king who is about 13 years of age has a choice to participate. Other than the kings who are young, not older than 13, they have a choice to decide whether to participate in Mahabharata or not to participate. Because the Gonanda too at that time, that young kid of Damodar is 3 or a 4-year-old child. So Yashomati decides not to participate in the Yuddha of Mahabharata. And that's how Maharshi replies to Raja Janmela that why Kashmir's king did not participate in Mahabharata. So in Kurukshetra, we decided to create this awareness among the larger Indian community, in all Hindu community, that Krishna has a connection with Kashmir, and that connection is related to the establishing the rule of Dharma in Kashmir. He had the choice at that time to establish Yaduvanshi, but he established the rule of Dharma in Kashmir. And not only that, I think in Kurukshetra I visited a place which is related to Diti. That is the wife of Raja Maharshi Kashyap. Kashyap, who is the creator of Kashmir, his wife's ashram is in Kurukshetra. So by that logic also, we saw Kashmir and Kurukshetra having a connection, and Krishna being the source of that connection. We organized this Kashmir Krishna Kashyap Tirthatam program this year, and Honorable Chief Minister was the chief guest of the program, and Swami Gyananand Maharaj, who is one of the biggest Krishna speakers and Maharishi in living in Kurukshetra, he offered his ashram to us. And I think we had around 500, 600 Kashmiris coming from all over the country, from different states, and it became a very, very exciteful, eventful opportunity for everyone to participate and know about this. So I hope I clarified on that question that you wanted me to start with. But before I talk about the other part for which I have been asked today, let me ask you, because as I said, I am from the primary school of this, so there may be some people who are already ahead of me, so I will then accordingly touch the subject. How much have you studied about Kashmir Shaivism? Do you have any idea about the Kashmir Shaivism? Anyone who has gone through any of the manuscripts or any idea about the philosophy Swami Lakshmanju has been talking about? Anyone here? Sir, you have. So you are still, you are in the elementary education?
Basically, it linked to Abhinav Gupta.
Abhinav Gupta.
He was the first person, I think, leading person
Yes.
who introduced Shaivism to Kashmir or established Shaivism. Because there were a lot of sort of other creeds or faiths at that time, but Shaivism establishment probably goes to, as I know, to Abhinav Gupta.
Abhinav Gupta, Acharya Abhinav Gupta is the one who has actually consolidated the whole philosophy of that time. The person who actually gave the idea of Shaivism in Kashmir in a more documented manner was Acharya Vasugupta. So it's said that Vasugupta had once a dream, and in that dream there was a revelation to him. He writes that I had a dream, and in that dream I had the revelation, and in that revelation certain yuktis were expressed to him, and all that what was revealed to him, it was mentioned that it is written on some of the rocks there in Kashmir near Dachigam. There is a place, and that place, that rock is also called Shankarpal. If any one of you Kashmiris have ever heard of Shankarpal as well. So that Shankar Pal is near Dachika, ये चश्मा शाही से थोड़ा सा आगे, निशाद शालीमार से थोड़ा आगे जाता है, वो आज भी है. अब गवर्नमेंट ने उसको बिल्कुल उसको बैरिकेड कर दिया है, so that it is not disturbed and harmed by anyone, and उसको पूरा बैरिकेडिंग करा दिया है, उसमें प्रॉपर तरीके से जाना पड़ता है. And that spot is still there. I have seen that spot. That spot is still there. That rock is still there. Now you can't read them if you're carved at that time as per Acharya Vasugupta. So that is the place where Vasugupta says that he started getting these ideas revealed in him, and he documented them. And that documentation is revealed in the form of a book which is called Shiva Sutra. So the source is Shiva Sutra, and it's also called Agamas. In Kashmir, we have got like Vedas, then we have got Agamas. So Agamas are basically, what I have understood, are the revelations by God. All Agamas, when you look at them, they are dialogical in nature. Dialogical in nature means where there is Bhairav and Bhairavi, Shiv or Shakti interacting with each other, and Bhairavi asking the Bhairav questions about the reality, nature of reality, what it is, what it consists of, how can one understand the nature of reality. So these are the questions which the Bhairavi keeps asking in the Agamas, and the Bhairav keeps on answering those questions. So all the Kashmiri manuscripts of the Agamas nature are in dialogical format, and in that dialogical format they start revealing. Shiva Sutra is one of them, and then from these sutras emerges Prativigya and Spanda. So Acharya Abhinav Gupta was the one who actually consolidated all of them in the most profound text that's called Tantra Loka. So it's in 5 volumes, and in Tantra Loka you get the idea of the entire concept of Trikha. One of the important aspect of this Trikha is because we call all the Kashmiri manuscripts Trikha, or Kashmir Shaivism, we call it Trikha because it is tridical in nature in most of the cases. And when I say tridical, you will see we have Shiva, Shakti and Nara. You have consciousness, and then you have energy, and then you have manifestation. So whether you would like to see it from the metaphysical point, whether it is consciousness or energy and manifestation, or you want to see it from a psychological perspective, whether it is knower, knowledge, or process of knowing. So from most of the aspects, whether psychological aspect, whether metaphysical aspect, you'll find 3 things always into it. And these 3 things later trickle down also, Brahma, Vishnu and Mahesh. It also trickles into Triguna, Sattva, Raj and Tamu. It also resonates with electrons, protons and neutrons in one way. I'm not going to that side because I'm not a science student, but whenever I started exploring and looking at this concept, I found relevance at most of the places. So, Agamas, as I said, is dialogical in nature. Agama also means coming out. So coming out from the mouth of Shiva and going into the ear of Shakti, or coming out from the mouth of Bhairava and going into the ear of Bhairavi, that's also called Agamas. So in the entire concept of Kashmir Shaiva Darshan, Kashmir Shaiva Drishti, Chitta is the foundation. The consciousness is the foundation. That's what we call the ultimate consciousness. So ultimate consciousness is the Param Shiv. In the Kashmir Shaiva Drishti, the ultimate consciousness is the Param Shiv. And Param Shiv is the foundation on which all manifestation happens. And Param Shiv consists of Shiva and Shakti. So that's why in Kashmir tradition, the man and woman when they get married, they are treated like Shiva and Parvati. Poshi puja karante hain. So one of the reasons is because we consider both of them the representation of the creation, Shiva and Shakti. And this consciousness is satat. Satat means continuous. So on the foundation of consciousness, because consciousness is the foundation, the chitta is the foundation. On that chitta, there is creation, there is dissolution, there is creation, there is dissolution, there is creation, and this is satat. This keeps on happening. Creation and dissolution keeps on happening and keeps on happening. And the satat process is the consciousness process. And in our Shaiva Darshan, it is one unified, singular consciousness. So today we are in this room, we see multiple consciousnesses. Rana Saab, Khosa Saab, Nehru Saab, Munshi Saab, they're all different. Because consciousness means that I am aware of something. So as a person, I am aware of something. As a person, you are aware of something. As a person, you are aware of something. So there are multiple consciousnesses. But when we talk about the Kashmir Shaiva Darshan, the universal consciousness is one. And from that consciousness, everything emerges. Like the sea, and you see the waves coming out of the sea, millions of waves coming out, millions of droplets coming out. But millions of droplets are not the individual droplets in their own sense. They are actually a part of the larger sea. So what happens with us is we think we are separate from the larger consciousness, and I will tell you why that happens as per Kashmir Shaiva Darshan. But we are actually the part of that larger sea. So Kashmir Shaiva Darshan sees this entire creation by Paramashiva. And when I say Paramashiva is synonymous of ultimate consciousness, which today the modern science has also started exploring and talking about. So consciousness is the foundation. It is that luminosity which is unchanging, which doesn't change, which is the foundational part of every creation that we see around us. And on that, there happens a creation which is part of the Paramashiva's Leela. So the entire cosmos creation, the entire universe, multiverse, whatever you call it, that Paramashiva creates, as per Kashmir Shaiva Darshan, they are divided into 36 elements. Like in Vedanta, we have 25 tattvas. Kashmir Shaiva Darshan sees there it was 36 tattvas. And these 36 tattvas are also further divided into 3 levels. So the entire universal creation is pure consciousness, pure impure consciousness, and impure consciousness, which is also called Shuddha Tattva, Ashuddha Tattva, and Ashuddha Tattva, which is also called Para, Apara, Para, Apara. So these three levels are about those 36 tattvas. So the pure tattva is the pure nature of Shiva. It is the real Shiva. It is the ultimate consciousness, ultimate reality, which consists of Shiva and Shakti, and then Ichha, Jnana and Kriya. Now in the purest form. And when I say purest form and the impurest form, the differences of duality. So in the purest form, Shiva and Shakti, when we talk about Shiva and Shakti for understanding, Shiva and Shakti are not different. They are one. But for the sake of understanding, we say Shiva and Shakti. Shiva is the foundational consciousness, and Shakti is the energy, that vibration, which takes that energy and gets into the manifestation. So the purest form consists of 5 tattvas. And one is Shiva Tattva, Shakti Tattva, Ichha Tattva, Jnana Tattva, and Kriya Tattva. Now these 5 tattvas are non-dual tattvas. Even the ichha is not good. For example, I have an ichha of becoming, say, Vice Chancellor of a university. Now, this is ichha of duality, ichha of materiality. But the purest form, the ichha is not about something because he is sarvagya. Because everything is in him. So what will he have as a desire? So it's not desire of having something. It is desire within desire. But when this pure form moves to the impure form, which is again in Kashmir Shaiva Darshan, it's called the Leela of the universal consciousness. And someone says, what do you mean by Leela? So the Leela in the simplest form that I have understood is that if I have something, if I am conscious and I want to see that I am conscious, how will I see I am conscious? Unless I objectify something, unless I go and see myself in the mirror, unless I go and touch myself, unless I go and feel myself. So consciousness needs objectivity. So when ultimate consciousness, when Param Shiva wants to play that Leela of experiencing self, it uses Shakti. So the Shakti manifests into the world that we see all around. But because Shakti has manifested this all around, there is an element of Maya in between the pure Tattva and the impure Tattva. So that Maya is the most important thing. This Maya is not the illusion of Vedanta. In Vedanta it's called illusion. But in Kashmir Shaiva Darshan, Maya is not illusion. Maya is the Shakti of Shiva. So it's the nature of Shiva that when Shiva plays the Leela and he or she, whatever gender you want to call him, because there's no gender in Param Shiva. Gender is only a part of the duality that we are into. But otherwise, it's a genderless, it's a formless, it's an imageless, the nature of Param Shiva. So when Param Shiva has to experience himself, when Param Shiva has to see his own strength, see his own nature, it manifests. But to manifest, it uses the power of Maya. And Maya is a very beautiful aspect of Shiva. So Shiva has one beautiful part that is called Swatantriya, the freedom. The Chitta Shakti and the Ichha Shakti, the Swatantriya Shakti. There is one shloka by in Pratibhikya Hridayam. It says, Chitti Swatantra Vishwasiddhi Hetu. Chitti is free. Swatantra means जो किसी भी तंत्र से जुड़ा ना हो, जो किसी भी तंत्र के स्वाधीन ना हो। जैसे हम किसी तंत्र के स्वाधीन हैं, अभी हम यहाँ पे हूँ तो मैं आप तक अपनी बात पहुँचाने के लिए इस यंत्र के आदि हूँ, या मैं आपसे बात करने के लिए किसी माध्यम का आदि हूँ। आप सुनने के अधीन हैं, मैं देखने का अधीन हूँ, आप बैठने के अधीन हैं, आप अपने कंफर्ट के अधीन हैं। परंतु परम शिवा की स्वतंत्रता ऐसी स्वतंत्र है जो किसी भी तंत्र के अधीन नहीं है। तो जब स्वतंत्र अपने आप को मैनिफेस्ट करना चाहता है तो वो शक्ति का प्रयोग करता है, और शक्ति जिसे हम माया कहते हैं, माया जो है वो अपने कंचुकों के द्वारा, माया की जो 5 शीट्स, जैसे मान लीजिए मैंने चश्मा पहना है, अगर मैं इसमें लाल चश्मा लगाऊंगा तो मुझे सब लाल दिखेगा, अगर मैं हरा लगाऊंगा तो मुझे सब हरा दिखेगा। तो कश्मीर शैव दर्शन में माया के कंचुकों के बारे में कहा गया है कि माया के 5 कंचुक हैं, यानी उन 5 कंचुकों के माध्यम से माया हमारे सामने इस सृष्टि को छिपा देती है। एंड ये शिव का एक नेचर है, क्योंकि जब वो किसी चीज को छिपाता है तो उसको ढूंढना ही शिव का एक लीला है। क्योंकि मटीरियलिटी में वो जब किसी अपने शिव के अंश को उसको ढूंढने में लगाता है तो ये उसे आनंद देता है। तो ये 5 कंचुकों के बारे में कश्मीर शैव दर्शन में कहा गया है। तो पहला जो कंचुक है वो है नियति, यानी ये जो जो शिव अल्टीमेट है, जो शिव अनलिमिटेड है, इन्फिनाइट है, वो जब माया के से जाता है और मैनिफेस्ट होता है तो एक नियति का कंजुक, एक शीट है, एक कवरिंग है माया की, वो है नियति। नियति मीन्स जिसमें सब कुछ एक ऑर्डर में दिखता है, एक रिजिडिटी, जैसे एक कॉस्मिक ऑर्डर दिखता है, मून यहाँ है, सन यहाँ है, इस लेंथ पर है, इस मेजरमेंट पे है, इस डिस्टेंस पे है, इस तरीके से चलेगा, तो वो रिजिडिटी के फॉर्म में आना शुरू हो जाता है, स्पेस एंड टाइम के रूप में हमारे सामने आता है। वो चित्त शक्ति जो शिव की चित्त शक्ति है, अब वो नियति से छिप जाती है एज पर कश्मीर शैव दर्शन। यानी जब माया की जो नियति है वो शिव की उस चित्त शक्ति को छिपा देती है इन स्पेस एंड टाइम, इन द रिजिडिटी ऑफ द सिस्टम, यूनिवर्स, कॉस्मोस। दूसरी जो उसकी उसका जो दूसरा कच्चुक है वो है राग। राग का मतलब है अपूर्णता, मतलब शिव जो अपने में कंप्लीट है, जब वो मैनिफेस्ट होता है और माया का ये शीत उस पर डल जाता है तो एक मैनिफेस्टेशन में अपूर्णता हमें दिखती है। शिव जो पूर्ण है अपने में, मैनिफेस्टेशन में वो अपूर्णता हमें दिखती है, इनकम्प्लीटनेस दिखती है। हम एक चीज देते हैं तो हमें दूसरी चीज की कमी दिखती है, हम दूसरी चीज दे देते हैं, तीसरी चीज की कमी दिखती है। ये अपूर्णता शिव के नेचर में नहीं है, लेकिन जब मैनिफेस्ट होती है तो ये अपूर्णता का भाव हम इंसानों के अंदर मैनिफेस्ट होना शुरू हो जाता है। हमें किसी चीज की कमी होने के कारण से क्या लगता है, फिर डिजायर्स क्रिएट होना शुरू हो जाता है। अब मुझे ये चाहिए, अब मुझे वो भी चाहिए, वो मिल जाता है, फिर मुझे नहीं, अब इससे ज्यादा चाहिए। तो वो अपूर्णता का भाव इज बिकॉज ऑफ मायास नियति एंड राग कंजुक। देन देयर इज कला। कला इज द एबिलिटी, द कॉम्पिटेंस। शिव सर्वज्ञ है, शिव सब कुछ कर सकता है, मतलब अल्टीमेट कॉन्शियसनेस कैन डू एवरीथिंग टू एनीथिंग। अल्टीमेट कॉन्शियसनेस नोअर भी है, नॉलेज भी है, नोइंग भी है। लेकिन जब वो नियति काल के रूप में मेरे सामने आती है, काल का कंचुक जब उसके ऊपर लग जाता है, तो माया उस कंचुक से मुझे क्या एक लिमिटेशन देती है, मैं ये तो कर सकता हूँ मगर ये मैं वो नहीं कर सकता। तो में वो इनकॉम्पिटेंस का भाव भी आना शुरू हो जाता है। ये भी एक माया का एक प्रभाव है जो उस शीत के कारण से मुझ पे आता है। फिर एक है विद्या, मतलब शिव का भी कला है, शिव की भी विद्या है, शिव का भी ज्ञान है, लेकिन शिव का अल्टीमेट ज्ञान है, जिस ज्ञान को जिसको ज्ञानातीत बोलते हैं, मतलब उसके बाद किसी ज्ञान की आवश्यकता नहीं। लेकिन मेरा जो ज्ञान है आफ्टर माया, मेरा ज्ञान इनकम्प्लीट ज्ञान है। मुझे कुछ तो पता है, कुछ नहीं पता। जब मैं कुछ पता करता हूँ, जैसे मैंने कहा एक बिंदु पे पहुंच के फिर दूसरा पहाड़ का दूसरा कोना दिखता है, वहां पहुंच जाता हूँ तो फिर तीसरा पहाड़, मतलब एवरी टाइम आई रीच ऑन द टॉप ऑफ द माउंटेन, आई सी आई एम ऑन द फाउंडेशन ऑफ अनदर माउंटेन। आई रीच ऑन टॉप ऑफ अनदर माउंटेन, आई सी आई हैव रीच्ड अनदर फाउंडेशन। सो ये मेरे जीवन काल में ये जो माया का ये वाला कंचुक है, ये मुझे इम्पैक्ट करता है। और फिर अंतिम जो कंचुक है, पांचवा कंचुक माया, तो वो है काल, यानी टाइम। यानी मैं जन्म मरण के उस बंधन में फंस जाता हूँ कि कुछ पास्ट है, कुछ प्रेजेंट है, कुछ फ्यूचर है, परंतु शिव कालातीत है। हम उसको इसीलिए कहते हैं महाकाल, जो काल के भी पीछे, मतलब टाइम स्पेस से भी वो पीछे है। अब हमारे कश्मीर शैव दर्शन में कहते हैं कि जब मैंने कहा कि अहम शिवम, मैं ही शिव हूँ, ऐसी अवधारणा मानते हैं, तो शिव का तत्व तो मुझ में है, लेकिन ये जो कंचुक हैं, ये जो शीट्स हैं, ये जो बाइंडिंग्स लगे हैं मेरे आसपास में, ये मुझे देखने नहीं देते, ये मुझे उस चीज तक पहुंचने नहीं देते और मुझे हमेशा भ्रमित करके रखे रहते हैं। तो कश्मीर शैव दर्शन में इसीलिए कहा गया कि इन चीजों को ट्रांसेंड कैसे किया जाए। तो कश्मीर शैव दर्शन में इन चीजों को ट्रांसेंड करने के लिए उपायों के बारे में बताया गया है, और इन चीजों को बाइंड करने के लिए जो मैंने आपको बताया, ये तीन चीजें जो हैं, इनके ऊपर कश्मीर शैव दृष्टि में एक मल भी कहा जाता है। एक माई मल जो मैंने आपको कहा, ऐसे एक कर्म मल और एक आनो मल, इन तीनों मल इन 5 शीट्स की प्रॉपर्टीज है। आनोमल है कि लिमिटेशन, मैं बहुत छोटा हूँ, ये भाव। कर्ममल कि मैं कुछ कर सकता हूँ, कुछ नहीं कर सकता हूँ, और माया ही मन जो मुझे ड्युअलिटी में फंसा देती है। तो बिटवीन शुद्ध तत्व जो प्योर कॉन्शियसनेस है जो मेरे अंदर है, टू इम्प्योर कॉन्शियसनेस जो शीट्स मुझे कवर कर देती है, यानी ये उसी प्रकार का उदाहरण है जब मान लीजिए आसमान में आपको बादल दिखते हैं तो आपको लगता है कि सारा मौसम खराब है, लेकिन जो व्यक्ति बादलों के ऊपर चला जाता है उससे सारी सनशाइन दिखाई देती है। सनशाइन होती है, लेकिन जो क्लाउड्स होते हैं वो हमें देखने नहीं देते और हमें सब कुछ क्लाउडी, ग्लूमी, रेनी दिखाई देना शुरू हो जाता है। लेकिन जैसे ही उसको कोई ट्रांजिट करता है, कोई जहाज से पार चला जाता है, तो उससे देखना शुरू हो जाता है कि देयर इज सो मच ऑफ लाइट। सो शिव नेचर इज लाइक दैट। वो शिव तत्व हम में भी है, लेकिन वो क्लाउड्स जो हैं माया के, जो कंचुक हैं माया के, वो कंचुक माया के सब चीजें कवर कर देता है और हमें वो देखने नहीं देता। तो जब शुद्ध तत्व इस माया को ट्रांसेंड करता है तो वो अशुद्ध तत्व बन जाता है। लेकिन जो ये माया और उसके 5 कंचुक हैं, इन्हें शुद्ध अशुद्ध, क्योंकि इनमें भगवती है, इसमें माया, जिसको हम महामाया भी बोलते हैं, कि शिव इस महामाया की बड़ी महिमा होती थी, तो वो महामाया का पूरा फॉर्मेट है इसके अंदर, तो इसलिए इसको चित्ती भगवती भी बोलते हैं। और जब ये ट्रांसेंड कर जाती है, जब शिवा के उस नेचर को ट्रांसेंड करती है माया से, तो वो पुरुष और प्रकृति बन जाती है। यानी मेरे अंदर की जो आत्मा, जैसे मैं कहता हूँ, वो पुरुष और मेरी जो प्रकृति है वो बन जाती है। और फिर वहां से बनता है अगला, वो है मन बुद्धि अहंकार। और उस मन बुद्धि अहंकार को चलाने के लिए हमारे इंद्रियां हैं, 5 ज्ञान इंद्रियां हैं, 5 कर्म इंद्रियां हैं, और उसके बाद है हमारी तन्मात्राएं, जिसमें रूप, रस, गंध, स्पर्श और शब्द, ये 5 तन्मात्राएं। ये 5 तन्मात्राएं जो है एक प्रकार का क्लाउड है। अगर कोई अंग्रेजी में जो आजकल आईटी में हम क्लाउड समझते हैं, ये एक प्रकार का ऐसा क्लाउड है जहां स्टोरेज होती है हमारे सारे रूप मतलब देखना, फॉर्मेट, फीलिंग, रस मतलब टेस्ट, गंध मतलब स्मेल, स्पर्श मतलब फीलिंग, एंड शब्द मतलब हियरिंग। ये उसका क्लाउड है। यानी जो 5 ज्ञानेंद्रियां हैं, मैं इन ज्ञानेंद्रियों से जो भी स्पर्श करता हूँ, जैसे बच्चा जब पैदा होता है वो सब चीज ऑब्जर्व कर रहा होता है, उसका जो फॉर्मेट होता है मन और बुद्धि का, वो बिल्कुल क्लीन होता है, बिल्कुल एकदम कोरा होता है। लेकिन जैसे जैसे उसकी ज्ञानेंद्रियां और कर्मेंद्रियां काम करना शुरू होती हैं, वो टेबल को टच करता है, वो कागज को टच करता है, वो टॉयज को टच करता है, तो उसकी वो ज्ञानेंद्रियां मैसेजेस भेजना शुरू कर देती हैं, और उसके क्लाउड में, जिसको तन्मात्राएं हम बोलते हैं, रूप, रस, गंध, स्पर्श एंड शब्द, वहां स्टोरेज होना शुरू हो जाता है। जब जैसे जैसे वहां स्टोरेज होना शुरू हो जाता है, तो वो बच्चा इमेजिन करना शुरू करता है, अच्छा ये पेन है, अच्छा ये टॉय है, ये मेरा फादर है, इसकी शक्ल ऐसी दिखती है, मेरी मदर है, ये मेरे घर की गली है, ये मेरा कमरा है, ये मेरा बेड है। उसकी इमेजिनेशन जो है वो बढ़ना शुरू हो जाती है। और जैसे जैसे वो इमेजिनेशन बढ़ती है, जैसे जैसे अनुभव बढ़ते हैं, जैसे जैसे तन्मात्राओं में स्टोरेज बढ़ जाना शुरू हो जाती है, वैसे वैसे मेरा मन और बुद्धि भी डेवलप होना शुरू हो जाता है। जैसे जैसे मन और बुद्धि डेवलप होना शुरू हो जाता है, एक अहंकार का भाव, एक अहम का भाव, मैं हूँ, मतलब मैं राजनेहरू हूँ, तो वो भाव आना शुरू हो जाता है। और जैसे जैसे वो भाव आना शुरू हो जाता है, मैं जीवन में अपना कार्य करना शुरू कर देता हूँ, और वो अहंकार ही मेरे को काम कराना शुरू करा देता है। और ये सारे का सारा रूप कहा जाता है पंचतत्वों में। पंचतत्व सबसे बेसिक है, जिसमें आपका जो अर्थ एलिमेंट है, वाटर एलिमेंट है, फायर एलिमेंट है, स्काई एलिमेंट है, एथर एलिमेंट है। ये 5 एलिमेंट से बना ये शरीर, इसके अंदर तन्मात्राएं, इसके बाद आपके जो ज्ञानेंद्रियां और कर्मेंद्रियां, और फिर मन बुद्धि अहंकार। और ये मन बुद्धि अहंकार मेरा अस्तित्व क्रिएट करता है, मेरा नेचर क्रिएट करता है, जिसको प्रकृति बोलते हैं। कहते हैं इसका नेचर कैसा है, वो मेरा नेचर क्रिएट करता है। और उस नेचर के पीछे बैठा है शांत पुरुष, यानी वही शिव का अंश, लेकिन जो ग्रस्त है अनअवेयरनेस से, जो ग्रस्त है उन कंचकों से। तो ये फॉर्मेट है 36 तत्वों का कश्मीर शैव दर्शन। इन 36 तत्वों में जो शिव है, जो अल्टीमेट कॉन्शियसनेस है, वो 5 कृत्य करता है। उसके 5 काम हैं। एक है सृष्टि, स्थिति, संहार, तिरोधान और अनुग्रह। ये 5 काम परम शिव करता है और यही 5 काम मैं भी करता हूँ एज अ मनुष्य। ठीक है, दोनों में लिमिटेशंस हैं। परम शिव परम क्रिएशन करता है, वो सृष्टि की क्रिएशन करता है, वो सृष्टि की मैनेजमेंट भी करता है। स्थिति यानी अगर कुछ क्रिएट किया तो उसको मेंटेन करना, मेंटेन करके वो संहार उसको नष्ट भी कर देता है। और तिरोधान, तिरोधान मतलब हाइड कर देता है, और अनुग्रह रिवील करता है। ये 5 कृत्य शिव करते हैं, परम शिव करते हैं। और जब हम संकुचित फॉर्म में आते हैं, ह्यूमन फॉर्म में, हम भी शिव ही हैं लेकिन संकुचित फॉर्म में हैं, मलों से ग्रस्त हैं। हम भी ये 5 काम करते हैं, हम भी क्रिएशन करते हैं, हम भी सस्टेनेंस करते हैं, हम भी जिसको रिफॉर्मेशन या डिस्ट्रक्शन कहते हैं। कैसे? आपके मन में विचार आते हैं, ये क्रिएशन है। वो विचार कुछ समय रहते हैं, सस्टेनेंस। वो विचार खत्म हो जाते हैं, डिस्ट्रॉय हो जाते हैं, वो डिस्ट्रक्शन है। वही तिरोधान हाइड भी करते हैं हम अपने आप से, सिस्टम, लोगों से, और अनुग्रह रिवील भी करते हैं, लेकिन हम संकुचित छोटे लेवल पर करते हैं। तो शिव में और हम में फर्क इतना है, हम संकुचित लेवल पर ये 5 फंक्शंस करते हैं, परम शिव हाईएस्ट लेवल पर करता है। कश्मीर शैव दर्शन में ये बतलाया गया है कि आप तो शिव हैं, आपके अंदर शिव तत्व ही है, आपके अंदर वही जो परम असीम सत्ता है, वो परम असीम सत्ता उसी की है आपके अंदर भी। लेकिन जिस समय आप इस चीज को समझना शुरू करते हो, इस चीज के बारे में आपका आभास बढ़ना शुरू हो जाता है, तो आपके अंदर भी चेंजेस होना शुरू हो जाती है। जैसे आप जब 5वीं कक्षा तक थे तो आपके पास नॉलेज एक लेवल की थी, और जैसी जैसी नॉलेज थी वैसे वैसे बिहेवियर थे। जैसे जैसे नॉलेज का स्पैन बढ़ता गया, मेरे बिहेवियर का पैटर्न भी बदलता गया। आज मैं माइक्रोबायोलॉजिस्ट हो सकता हूँ तो मेरे को उस फील्ड की अवेयरनेस बड़ी हाई है। आज मैं लॉयर हो सकता हूँ तो मुझे उस फील्ड की अवेयरनेस बहुत बड़ी है, लेकिन लिमिटेड है। मैं बस लॉ में देख रहा हूँ, माइक्रोबायोलॉजी में देख रहा हूँ, मेडिसिन में देख रहा हूँ, किसी एक फील्ड में देख रहा हूँ। तो जिस फील्ड में मेरी जितनी अवेयरनेस बढ़ती जाएगी, मैं उस फील्ड में मेरे बिहेवियर, मेरा एक्शन, मेरा रिएक्शन, मेरा मैनेजमेंट बदलेगा। लेकिन यूनिवर्सल कॉन्शियसनेस में जब मेरी कॉन्शियसनेस एक्सपैंड होगी तो मेरी यूनिवर्सल बिहेवियर बदलना शुरू हो जाएगा। यानी कश्मीर शैव दर्शन में 2 बड़े इंपॉर्टेंट ग्रंथ हैं, एक प्रतिभिज्ञा है और एक स्पंद है। प्रतिभिज्ञा कश्मीर शैव दर्शन में वो ग्रंथ है जो स्वयं को जानने का मार्ग कश्मीर शैव दर्शन में बताया गया है, और प्रतिभिज्ञा हमें बताती है कि एक व्यक्ति अपने ट्रू नेचर को कैसे समझ सकता है। आचार्य अभिनव गुप्त ने और स्वामी लक्ष्मण जी ने इसको उपायों में हमें बताया। तो उन्होंने 4 किस्म के उपाय बताए, एक आनु उपाय, एक शक्तो उपाय, एक शंभव उपाय और एक अनु उपाय। अब ये 4 उपाय अलग अलग डॉक्ट्राइन्स को उन्होंने कंबाइन करके, अलग अलग एक्सपेरिमेंट्स जो उन्होंने अपने समय में किए होंगे, तो उसमें जो अनु उपाय है, ये वो उपाय है जो एक्सटर्नल वर्ल्ड में हम करते हैं। जैसे एक्सटर्नल वर्ल्ड में हम हवन करते हैं, हम पूजा करते हैं, मंदिर जाते हैं, हम व्रत रखते हैं। ये एक्सटर्नल, ये बेसिक लेवल ऑफ डेवलपिंग योर अवेयरनेस। जो शक्त उपाय है, ये शक्त उपाय मंत्र साधना है। मतलब यू स्टार्ट नाउ नॉट डूइंग द एक्सटर्नल प्रैक्टिसेस, यू स्टार्ट मूविंग टू द इंटरनल प्रोसेसेस। तो आप इमेजिनेशन में चले जाते हैं, कंटेम्पलेशन में चले जाते हैं। आप किसी एक भैरव के ऊपर या भैरवी के ऊपर या किसी एक ऐसे डिवाइन फॉर्म के ऊपर आप अपनी इमेजिनेशन फोकस करते हैं। और जैसे जैसे वो मंत्र साधना, किसी के ऊपर आप फोकस करना, इंटरनल इमेजिनेशंस को डेवलप करना, जैसे जैसे आप वो करना शुरू करते हो, जो अंदर की गांठें हैं वो गांठें खुलना शुरू हो जाती हैं। आपके अंदर एक नेचुरल ट्रांसफॉर्मेशन आना शुरू हो जाता है। और जैसे जैसे आप उस प्रोसेस में आगे बढ़ते हैं तो एक समय ऐसा आता है जब शंभव उपाय की वो बात करते हैं। वो कहते हैं कि अब आपको कुछ करने की आवश्यकता नहीं है, देयर इज अ ग्रेस दैट ऑटोमेटिकली हैपेंस ऑन यू। तो सडनली वो ग्रेस या तो गुरु की ग्रेस होती है, या वो इतनी इमेजिनेशन डीप चली गई होती है, जिसको हम सेल्फ अवेयरनेस की डेप्थ बोलते हैं, खोलना, सेल्फ अवेयरनेस की गांठें खोलना इतनी डीप और इतनी बड़ी हो जाती है कि ग्रेस कभी कभी अपने आप इमर्ज होती है और वो आपको अपने साथ और अंदर लेके जाती है। और फिर अनु उपाय है जहाँ आप कुछ नहीं करते, जहाँ बस आप और वो एक हो जाते हैं, जहाँ known and known and the knowledge becomes one। और जब आप known and knowledge एक बन जाती है तो आप किसी चीज का प्रभाव पड़ता नहीं, आप बस उसी शिव के साथ, उसी ग्रेस के साथ आप चल रहे होते हैं। तो ये कश्मीर शैव दर्शन में इसके बारे में ललदेव ने एक बड़ा ब्यूटीफुल वाक बोला है। वो कहती है, ललदेव का ये वाक बड़ा ब्यूटीफुल वाक है। वो कहती है, बाण गोलताई प्रकाश आव जूनी, बाण गोलताई प्रकाश आव जूने, चंद्र गोलताई मोती से। बाण गोलताई, ये समझने की बात है, मैं थोड़ा सा इसके मीनिंग भी आपको बताऊंगा। बाण गोलताई प्रकाश आव जूने, चंद्र गोलताई मोती से, सेठ गोलताई कितना कुनी, सेठ गोलताई कितना कुने बूर बुआ स्व वेसरित के। Now let me tell you the meaning, how she has actually reflected on Acharya Abhinav Gupta's Prativigya. She says, Ban goltai prakasha usme, Ban is the light, the sun. She says, Ban goltai prakasha usme means sun is the light. When you see this physical world's light, when this light disappears from my consciousness, prakasha usme, when the light disappears, the light of the moon shines. Moon is very important in Kashmir Shaiva Darshan. अगर तो एक विषय है ना, सत्य तारक ठीक कर, because moon is related to mind. पंचमना चंद्र बोलते हैं, ये mind थी प्याओ. Then mind also goes, because today I do everything from my मन बुद्धि अहंकार. लालदेव से चंद्र बोलते हैं, मोती से. When moon also, when mind also disappears and dissolves, what remains? The chitti, the consciousness. Then she says, Seth bolta hai. Now that the Seth also goes, I transcend that consciousness. Seth bolta hai ki itna koi nahi. Now I have reached into that shunya. I have reached into the nothingness, Shiva. And that is inside. I'm not going outside anywhere. Seth bolta hai ki itna koi nahi. Bhur Swa. Bhur Swa is the Triloka. Bhur, Bhuva Lok, Swaha Lok, Maha Lok, Jana Lok, Tapa Lok. We call it Saptaloka. She relates Bhur, Bhuva, Swaha, Vasaritke. Nothingness. When I reach that nothingness, when mind goes, when outer light goes, when consciousness transcends, I reach into that nothingness. And when I reach into that nothingness, all the worlds, all the lokas, they immerse in that. And now I have also become, because loka is also creation of Shiva. So when I reach into nothingness, there is nothing, there is that nothingness. It's not that nothing which we in this material world consider nothing. It is that nothing which is the pure energy. It is that pure energy which is creating, which is manifesting into what we have today. So this Kashmir Shaiva Darshan gives us this kind of perspective. As I said, to me it is just the primary school for me. I am still learning. But what I have realized that in Kashmir Shaiva Darshan we have a very important book that gives us, which is called Vijnana Vaira Tantra. Vijnana Vaira Tantra gives us 112 techniques. And all these techniques are about watching your breath, its movement, to watching you getting into that shunyata. It's all about observation and practicing that observation. And if you ever happen to just practice one or two, depending on suiting what suits you, you will start realizing that as you practice, there is some change happening in your approach, in your in your overall demeanor, in your overall way you interact with people. The more I saw practicing some of the techniques, Tantra, again, Tantra is not about any mantra or jadoo tona. In Kashmir Shaiva Darshan, Tantra is also coming from the word of Tanu Vistarika, means expanding and transforming. So Tantra is technique. So it tells you the technique of transformation. And breathing and watching your breathing and observing your breathing. For example, there's one technique in the sixth shloka of Vigyan Bhairutantra. It says, when you breathe, for example, you breathe from the nasika, and you know the moment breath touches your nasika. So there is a space between when the breath starts coming and touching your nasika, and then you inhale, and you are observing that touching point of the nasika where the breath touches, and then you move along with that breath, and you go down because the breath stops at your navel, at your navi. Because as the breath goes in, the navi expands. It is that point where navi expands, put your concentration, put your focus. And when the navi, where the point, it turns back, because the breath turns back, it curves, it turns back. Observe that movement and again go back along with the breath and go to that point where it comes out, and where it comes out, it again turns. It again turns, observe that turn, and then repeat this process. And repeat this process as much as you can till the time comes when between the external point and the internal point, you see some kind of distance getting shortened. Now, what does it do? I have experienced a change, and that change is, I'll give you a change which you can understand and relate. Between stimulus and response. One change I saw is, there is a little space in our human endeavor between stimulus and response. किसी ने मुझे गाली दी, if I don't shout back instantly, I think I feel lost, or I may be seen weak, or I may be seen he's useless. So stimulus and response, the space is very small, and we live in that small space. Our reaction, if it is not instant, is seen a sign of weakness. But in spirituality, in Tantra Vidya, this increase in space is seen attainment. The more you create space between stimuli and response, means nothing is bewildering you, nothing is bothering you, nothing can shake you, because that space is keeping you intact in the Shiva nature. So the Shiva nature is expansion of their consciousness and creating that space between the stimulus and the response. And the time comes when nothing actually impacts you. Whatever happens in that ultimate Anupaya, Shambha Upaya, when nothing impacts you. If he makes billions of dollars, it doesn't impact me. If I lose billions of dollars, it still doesn't impact me. If I have the power, it still doesn't impact me. If I am powerless, it still doesn't impact me. That is the power of these Tantra activities and actions and yuktis that we have to do in this. But it's not easy. It takes you hundreds of years, thousands of years. To me, I think when we are born, we are not born like a Kora carcass. To me, every child is born, in psychology we call it nature. And then there is nurture. So psychology today tells us everyone is born with nature. There is some component of nature. What is that nature? It is the previous sanskaras that I am creating, bringing along with me. For example, I started working on what my father told me. Now, whatever I am today hearing, listening, doing, acting, performing, thinking, everything is getting stored in some of the softwares that I was talking about, which is those 5 tanmatras. Now, when I will leave this world, I'm not going to leave empty. I may have my body dropped here, the outer sheath dropped here, but something is going. That something which is going and then looking for some womb to enter, it is not entering in that womb empty. It is entering in that womb with some previous samskaras which have got stored. Now that is my nature. I am entering into a womb with some nature. And then, based on the opportunities in the new birth I get, I express that nature. Sometimes what happens, हम कहते हैं ना बच्चे को यार बच्चे को छेड़ो मत, इसको natural grow करने दो. वो इसलिए कहते हैं the nature, if it is aligned with the body, it creates a synergistic child. The nature has potentiality, the huge potentiality, which is the true self of that, because Atma also has certain purification processes. So it will ultimately exit with some nature which it wants to now build in the next karmic life. So as long as I am in that cycle of karmic life, birth and rebirth, this nature will keep on expanding. Now whether that nature gets the opportunity to align with its inner nature, that depends on what and how. But eventually, if I have to exit from that karmic cycle as per the Anu Upay and Shakta Upay, I will have to move and start looking at the good things, what manuscripts are talking, what my gurus will be talking, what is the ultimate philosophy that I am getting into, how I am practicing myself into it. And eventually a time will come, maybe in this world or the another world, maybe next janma or some more janmas, like Laleshwari. She would not have gone and become Laleshwari just because she was born. She would have accumulated thousands of years of her samskaras with her, and suddenly it blew like a love death, and she was just in front of the whole society. But to reach to that level, she might have gone through many cycles of creation and dissolution. So I'll just stop here. I have been talking for a long time, so maybe I can stop for a minute in case you want to ask or interrupt or say something.
In a sense, by you saying that Kashmir, Param Shiva, I mean it's a single God religion or philosophy, and that the manifestation or reflection of Him which you see is actually also real, unlike the eminent form is reflected in this world which we live in, which we are. But this is all real. Is that what we?
Let me explain it in this way. So again, I will give an example of child. When a child is born, and for example, he wants to become or she wants to become a doctor. On day one, when the child is born, you don't put her or him into the medical college. The child will have to go through nursery, primary school, secondary school, higher education, and then she has to pass the NEET and then go to the medical college. So Kashmir Shaiva Darshan is a very unique kind of a philosophy where if you have to really understand the monoism, if you have to understand the oneness, you have to understand and appreciate the diversity first. Because the diversity is sure. So to understand that oneness, I have to see the multipleness. And what does that multipleness mean? It means when I go to nursery, I am not simply told there's an apple that goes on tree. I am shown the image of apple. I am shown the image of A, and then I am told this is A, this is apple, this is red. So as a child, I have to see images, I have to see apple, I have to see other forms of play that helps me to understand and relate with apple, color, and A. And as I grow, I may have some toys with me. As I grow, I go to primary to secondary, the toys go away, the images are lessened. Now that alphabet becomes sentence and paragraph and chapter. And as I cross and enter into higher education, there are no images, there are no idols, there are only experiments. And as I move to the PhD level, now I am researching. Our philosophy is like that. We all, it's like a pyramid, we all have gods. You just find what you are finding. But before you find that, we show him, this is Shiva, this is Ganesha, this is temple, go there, use this mantra, recite this is color, wear this cloth. So I'm actually putting him into the practice and asking that person to just learn everything. But what happens to the larger society is we get stuck into temples, into rituals, into practices, into fastings, into A, B, C, D, Y, Z. The purpose was to understand and move on. But the problem with the society is everyone doesn't have that capability and capacity to move on. So many people stay happy with rituals, they will do, continue with doing them without realizing. Because that duality hasn't yet gone away from them. The idea of duality, the understanding of non-duality hasn't yet gone away. So इसलिए उस pyramid में most of the people stay on the bottom of the pyramid. They are hooked up in temples, murtis and all that, which is not wrong, which is required. Because without understanding that, you cannot understand the ultimate. इसीलिए हमारे यहाँ वेदांत में शुद्धि and स्मृति है. Because one is pure philosophy, deeper logic. Another is pure stories. Small stories. Ganesha का head काट दिया, शिव जी आसमान में घूम रहे हैं, शंकर पार्वती ऐसे जा. Small stories to attract, excite, and give the meaning, purpose behind the logic. So that there's an interest generated and then someone studies the logic. अब किसी को आप बोलोगे बचपन में ब्राह्मण, ultimate consciousness, चाहे वो समझ नहीं आएगा. हमारे यहाँ जैसे we have Abrahamic religions, वो सबको पैराग्राफ कर देते हैं ऊपर से, मतलब आते बोल देंगे और कुछ भी नहीं है, बस यही है. Without giving them opportunity to go to the nursery class and read and find and decide on your own self. So when you, हमारे यहाँ ये एक चीज तो है, when you decide on your own self, you will have your own creation of God. You will find it in your own way. But ultimately, Kashmir Shaiva Darshan, Vedanta, ultimately everyone converges at one point that everything is conscious. Like बौद्ध धर्म में भी, वेदांत में भी और कश्मीर शैव दर्शन में एक चीज के ऊपर तो सहमति है, वो है कि consciousness is the foundation. The only difference is the nature of consciousness. तीनों में nature of consciousness अलग. और केवल कश्मीर शैव दर्शन में ही आपको तत्व मिलेंगे जो 36 तत्व. वेदांत में आपको 25 तत्व मिलते हैं, जो माया और उसके 6 कंचुक हैं, और शिव की जो प्योर कॉन्शियसनेस है, उसके जो 5 हैं तत्व, शिव शक्ति, स्वतंत्र शक्ति, इच्छा शक्ति, ज्ञान शक्ति, क्रिया शक्ति, ये आपको केवल कश्मीर शैव दर्शन में मिलेगा. तो इसलिए नीचे से जाना बहुत जरूरी है टू अंडरस्टैंड.
Sometimes one feels some sort of a, you can call it a danger or fear or that abstraction. Abstract. Youngsters to understand Shaivism is really, the answer is that we are going into abstract world. That is where the danger lies, and expert gurus like you can probably bring home that abstractionism is basically the ultimate.
Bimara was my father. He told me once while we had many conversations. He used a word there are certain dangers in this, you should be careful. I didn't get that. He used a Kashmiri word. I am not getting that word what he told me. Hello, he said, aesthetic. Be careful. I didn't get that point at that time. So after some time, when I was also contemplating and reading, I said, why did you tell me that? He said, just one thing. The danger is only from one thing. We have a dual nature. We live in two worlds while we live as a physical person. One is that you live in the outer world. You interact with people. You interact with everyone. Another is you live in your inner world, which may be hidden from others, which others don't know. For example, I am appreciating you, sir. You are a great person. You are a fantastic person. We love you. You have changed the whole society. We really respect you. These are the spoken words that are falling on your eardrums, and you are feeling good about it. But I have मुझे कोई काम है आपसे. I am saying these words to you. But in the heart of the hearts, there is an inherent motive and interest that is making me to say these words. His point was, when you use words, be careful because words are matrikas, and matrika is a shakti. And every matrika has a matrika shakti, a devi, a deity associated to it. So when you use words and it is not synergistic with your inner words, you are creating a conflict inside you which is dangerous. Anugrah, if you really look for practicing this process and you want the grace to happen on you, the first thing is build a synergy between the spoken words and thought words. Let me give you Swami Lakshman Joshi, there's a kitab बहुत बेहतरीन, he has mentioned it. Matrika has four levels of matrika, at which this matrika shakti expresses itself. One is the Vaikri level. The Vaikri is the conversation of expression, the words which convey intent to you. The another level is the inner level, which is Madhyama. Madhyama is not the spoken words, but the spoken words here, not spoken words here. So you speak something here first, and then you convey through Vaikri. So Madhyama and Vaikri, my father used to say, you need to have synergy. If you don't have synergy, you will have destruction in your life. You will attract wrath for yourself. So to answer you, danger is not from anyone. Danger is when two Shaktis, Paraspar Shaktis, which need to be complementary Shaktis. If they see you not complementing, you having some inner motives and you expressing something, then the anugraha doesn't happen. I will use this word. But then my father said that behind what we call Madhyama, there is a third word that's called Pashyanti. Now for you and me, who's the non-practitioner, I only know one thing. भाई मैं क्या सोच रहा हूँ, कितना तिगड़म चलाता हूँ, कितना चालाकी करता हूँ, और बाहर क्या करता हूँ. This is the only world for me, the outer world and the inner world. अंदर की world में तिगड़म करता हूँ और जीत जाता हूँ. I'm extremely happy. See how intelligent I am. I have created so much of wealth with all this tigadam. I have won the favor of everyone. But when you only live in the Madhyama and Vaikri, you will keep on, in the cycle of that जिसको बोलते हैं दुख बोलते हैं, या जो भी आप बोलना चाहें. He said the other world is Pashyanti. When there is synergy between the outer world and the inner world, there is a greater possibility that the Devi Bhagavati, she opens the gates of intuition. She opens the gate. Now, you don't need to use this. Words come to you. Now, Vaikri has feed from Pashyanti. So, Pashyanti is the Shiva's foundational blessing on you. But for that, the synergy between the two is must. But then my father said, there is one more world. That is the world of Para. जो सिर्फ कश्मीर शैव दर्शन में है. Para is when you become the. Now whatever you do, say, it is the saying and doing. Vishnu Maharaj, ये जो फनाफिला है. Fanaphila means the person is already dissolved in that para. So, जो लोगों को कभी कभी थोड़ा कंफ्यूजन हो जाता है, वो कंफ्यूजन का मुझे जो लगता है, मेरा अनुभव है. बाकी नॉलेज, अंडरस्टैंडिंग एंड एक्सपीरियंस, ये तीनों बहुत जरूरी हैं. We know, but we don't understand. We understand, but we don't practice. So, experience करने के लिए, we will have to put efforts. And when our efforts are not aligned, there is bound to be some kind of abstractive confusion. So to remove that, in the initial practices, we call in psychology, I'm relating it to it, it's called mind's eye. So if you have to really build this synergy between Madhyama and Vaikri, you have to learn. जो मैंने आपको exercise बताई थी जैसे तंत्र में, that's one. But there are many. When you shrink and make them one and increase the space, what's actually happening? You are using the synergy of the Bhagavati, the Trika Shaiva. And when that Bhagavati's kripa, anugraha is on you, you have the grace. Pachamanan, and you should walk, cash of man. And you should. Parva. यहाँ से ये उसकी निमाना की क्या कर सकता?
Connected with
You
God.
know, जैसे सरस्वती बैठी है इसके ऊपर. Parva. Parva क्या? Parva is when the grace is happening and coming through your mukha. So, yeah.
I think a fascinating talk by you, taken one into the inner self. And I think we talked of somewhere in your talk of the apple, which is very much part of our motherland.
Sorry, can you repeat that?
I said you talked of the apples,
Oh.
which is part of our motherland, part of our culture. Kashmiri apple is famous. You see, the apple can be red. It can be striped like the amri. It can be the golden delicious of Kulu. It can be the green, the Granny Smith. They're all creations of the same God in different locations. It can be rusty brown from inside like an amri sake. And that is only because of the iron in the water that is in that area where it is grown in Kashmir. But at the end of the day, it is what is biologically a species called the apple. So, from this very deep and very, I should say, comprehensive knowledge of nature, which can present itself in different forms.
religious thought can also present itself in Hinduism and Buddhism and Christianity, in Islam and Judaism, something. So isn't there a unity of a thought which is good or pure, expressed in different languages? So why should we be talking of one religion being good, the other being bad? Some people in some parts of the country hate us, or the world rather hate us, others like us, find something similar. So, or are all these different religious beliefs and thoughts divisive? And that is where I think the Kashmiri thought and going to a unitary thinking and bent of mind is really the world which is exemplified in different forms and species and coming together. So in that kind of a climate, should we be talking only of one religion, of one stream of thought, or unity of religion? One DNA is there, that is the human species. You can think in 10 different ways in different parts of the world. That's the thought I put to you. You are an ideologue, a great intellectual, and I think this is where the Kashmiri DNA is different from all other DNAs. We see the good in everything. Hopefully we imbibe the best in everything.
That's a, I think, very profound question. I'm just thinking what you said. When we talk about
I just take you back. You talked of Kurukshetra. Well, I honestly don't think of that area as Kurukshetra. I think something much more important is there. It's the name Sthaneshwar. I do not know why it has gone out of use. It's an equally good word, Jyotisar, which is also located in the same area. But we continue to call it Kurukshetra because we are continuing to battle in our minds about something which suits us at different points of time.
your point is, I'm just thinking what you said. So 2-3 pieces you said. One is you talked about the religion part and why do we believe in the religion. Actually, to me, whether it is good, bad, whether it is dharma, adharma, whether it is vikruti, akruti, any two sides, this religion, that religion, at the end, experiencing this Trika philosophy dissolves everything, because in the Kashmir Shaiva Darshan, good and bad, both are Shiva. Ugly and beautiful, both are Shiva. Small and big, both are Shiva. Here and there, everything Shiva. If I say Muslim or Hindu, and then I say Shiva, Hindu, that's not possible. Because when the Muslim and Hindu is Shiva, manifestation, whether mountains, trees, plants, animate, inanimate, anything, it is Shiva. Now, when I use word Shiva, when it was coined many 100,000 years back, at that time we didn't have the Einstein or we didn't have the colonials to come and hijack the word Shiva and then take it to the laboratories and then convert it into electron, proton, neutron at that time. We had those type of rishis who experimented with their thoughts, experimented with their own nature and realized, and they gave it a terminology of Paramashiva and Tattvas. Now if you dissect most of the words that we use today in Kashmir Shaiva Darshan, or most of the Vedic terms, you will see every word will have a meaning. Shiva will also have a meaning. Now, when we use these philosophies and terminologies in the current day, there is a natural bias and conditioning that has already happened, which the society is already gripped because of the various limitations that I talked about. Humans are ultimately gripped in limitations. Those limitations will label, the moment you use Shiva as a word, it will say it's religious. You are talking of religion. But believe me, today around the world there are many universities who are doing research on consciousness and studying Prativigya and Spanda at the same time, and Tantraloka at the same time, and there are multidisciplinary researches happening, because most of the intellectual input, philosophical and spiritual inputs that are coming from Prativigya or Spanda are highly helpful to the modern quantum scientists who are actually contemplating and researching on quantum level theories related to consciousness. But because the society has gone through so many changes in last 100, 200, 300, 500 years, the divisions, because it is another concept that impacts us, the limitations. We want to get divided, we see power in the division, not in the unison. So you have this problem, and if you look at the Kashmir Shaiva Darshan and the philosophers and scholars that have emerged in Kashmir and some other places of the world as well, they had to face this. When Kashmir got Kashmir had to face the invasions, we still maintain.
You said it. You see, power lies in division. That is what.
That's the limitation of the human nature.
Starting
to seek
point.
Power in division.
Seeking power through division.
But that is not the truth. That is an outcome of the limited thinking that we have. Example after in the Islamic world, there was one gentleman named Mansur al-Hajjaj. And the Khalifa of that time, this is just a couple of centuries old story. The Khalifa of that time, he went to his guru because Mansur was propagating a philosophy called Anal-Haq. So the Khalifa went to his guru that इसको समझाओ, otherwise we kill you. So the guru explained to Mansur, continued with that. So again the warning came, and this time the Khalifa said, if he doesn't shut up, we will shut him up. So Guru called Mansur and told him that, listen, you do whatever you want to do, but don't speak this. You know what Mansur says? Mansur says, अगर मैं बोलता तो चुप होता. ये तो वही बोल रहा है. Right? And his Anal-Haq meant what in India he had already, whether it is derived from it or not, because Aham Brahmasmi is very old slogan of India from the Vedas, and then we have Aham Shivam Shivoham, very old from Kashmir Shaiva Darshan and given by Acharya Shankaracharya. He said Anal-Haq, which also means I am deep. So then he was killed on roads. Mansur's story we all know. If you have not read, please read that. You will have both, and both are Paramashiva. The demon is also Paramashiva. The Deva Asura and Deva, he is also Paramashiva. The difference is the transcendence from ignorance. Ignorance isn't the absence of information or absence of knowledge. Ignorance is absence of right knowledge, right information. So you will have to continue, but the problem is not about thinking that look what they are doing, they are Hindu or they are Muslim or they are Sikh. It is not about their change. It is about my transformation. And am I desirous to transform and change? Do I have the lalak to change? It's not about when someone changes, I will change. It's about me and my Shiva. It's about me and ultimate consciousness. That is more important. So, I'm not sure whether I answered your question, but the answer to me is, my journey, I must continue, irrespective of what's happening around me, believing that everyone, everything is manifestation of Shiva.
Thank you very much. I think I was only trying to bring you to this level of consciousness and awareness that you see we are all different streams of thought, which if ultimately comes to the truth, which is closer to what you talked of, some electrons, physics, etc. Well, I began my graduation as a physicist. So I see that is the truth, and some of the best physicists of the world have talked of Shiva
Yeah?
and Shiva's theme while talking of atomic physics also.
Absolutely.
So that is the unification that I am talking about, that thinking goodness, good is a universal thought. It is not the monopoly of any particular region in the world. It's only like an onion which has multiple layers, varak pe varak nikalte jaate hain. At the core of it is that little seed. Now, if you realize that that seed is the seed where we all come from, that is what I think the beauty of our ancestors' land, which intolerant people couldn't tolerate that, so they drove us away
Absolutely.
and continue to drive us away.
Let me do what you said. ललित का एक बड़ा सुंदर वाक्य है, कहती है गगन से भूतल से, गगन से भूतल से पवन दोहरा, गगन से भूतल से पवन दोहरा, अर्घ चंदन पोष पूवन से, अर्घ चंदन पोष पूवन से सुख सगलित लागे क्या, means गगन भी तू ही, पवन भी तू ही, दिन भी तू ही, रात भी तू ही फूल, तू ही पानी, तू ही अर्घ, तू ही चंदन। अगर तू सकल है तो लगाऊं क्या? Nothing is different. Everything is in him. And जैसे मैंने शुरू में कहा था कि शिव नेचर सत्य, चित्त, आनंद. This is शिव नेचर. शिव तत्व सत्य है, शिव अल्टीमेट कॉन्शियसनेस चित्त है, और शिव आनंद है. आनंद मीन्स जो आपने अभी कहा, नॉट आनंद मुझे उसको कुछ देने से मिलता है या उससे कुछ लेने से मिलता है. द अल्टीमेट ब्लिस. एंड दिस आनंद, चित्त एंड सत्य इज द इनर तत्व ऑफ एवरीवन. एवरीवन मीन्स एवरीवन, एंड एवरीवन हैज द पावर टू एक्सप्लोर, टू अंडरस्टैंड, टू एक्सपीरियंस and to be with that nature. Now, we are only responsible for ourselves to go and experience this. And the Shiva's blessings, because I have a goal, for example, I have to experience Shiva without actually thinking of whether he will go or they will go or what will go away from me, because it's not easy. When you get into the Shiva nature, the first fear is I may lose something. So as I move away and nothing that is going away from me bothers me, that's the biggest earning that I'm. And as I move on, a time comes when I may not be coming back in this mortal world, and I may be part of that Shiva nature, that Ananda. Sadnashwar. Move away from that materiality.
I to Anandi aa gaya. I can say it was a wonderful. We liked it and we got a little bit.
अब आपने हिंदू मुस्लिम की बात की है, तो गालिब ने बड़ा अच्छा शेर बोला है, क्लोज विद दैट. तो गालिब कहता है, न था कुछ तो खुदा था, न था कुछ तो खुदा था, कुछ न होता तो खुदा होता. न था कुछ तो खुदा था, कुछ न न होता तो खुदा होता, डुबोया मुझको मेरे होने में, डुबोया मुझको मेरे होने में, न मैं होता तो क्या होता। गाड़ी में यही क्या है।
Wonderful talk.
Thank you very much for patiently listening. अगर गलती है सब तुम
No,
समझो।
it was also a honor. It's very honored.
Just
Yes. You see.
I cannot thank Raj Bhai enough for this enlightened talk, and it gives us special privilege to bring this talk to our 1200 people who are represented by 300-400 members. We have, if we have your permission, we have recorded this, and we will make sure that this is smartly edited and made available. I think this journey from universal consciousness to beyond consciousness and its entire mechanics could never have been explained in this such a short time. I think I personally very benefited a lot. Round of applause. And I think this beautiful practical aspect of it, of creating that space between stimulus and response, and even guiding us to do-it-yourself manuals like the Vigyan Bhairam Tantra. These are some of the gems, and making us conscious about Man, Buddhi and Kar, and sort of, I think one feels like born again this evening, to be revealed just once again. I would like our senior member Anil Bhai Razdan to facilitate Dr. Raj Bhai. It's an old tradition that to honor our Jnana from a token of our love from
Thank you very much. नहीं वो कर देंगे आपको।
मेरा आप सब लोगों से अनुरोध होगा कि 5-10 मिनट एक चाय अगर आप हमारे मेंबर्स के साथ ले लें वो तैयार है। और मैं इस मौके पर अपने बहुत सीनियर मेंबर श्री कैलाशनाथ बकाया का भी बहुत धन्यवाद करना चाहूँगा। वो यहाँ नहीं है, वो अपने घर पे हैं। ही इज़ क्वाइट सीनियर। हमारे वो 33 बॉर्न 1933 बॉर्न मेंबर है, फाउंडर मेंबर है एक तरह से। तो वो हमारी एसोसिएशन बनने के भी 7 साल पहले पैदा हुए थे। तो उनके द्वारा ये पूरा आयोजन स्पॉन्सर किया गया। हमारे मेंबर्स ये हमारी मदद करते रहते हैं हर महीने, इस तरह से कुछ ना कुछ हो। तो we grateful thanks to Bhakaya sir, our senior member, and may I invite you for tea. Thank you very much.